Welcome to our very first Married at First Sight after show. We're so happy you're watching. Stay tuned because we got a lot to talk about.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Woo! Welcome to our very first Married at First Sight after show. We're so excited to be here. I'm your host, Jamie Banks, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JamieBanks_. And with me are my lovely co-hosts.
Hello, I'm Allie Nasta. You can find me on Instagram at Allie Nasta, ALLYNASTA. And then on Twitter, I'm at AllieGirl__.
And I'm Heather Yerrid. You can find me on Instagram at Heather Yerrid and on Twitter at Heather Yerrid.
We're also going to pull up the live chat in a moment, so if you are watching live, be sure to give us some comments. We might read your comment, and we'd love to have you in the conversation. Also, be sure to comment and like on Instagram. Instagram, like our Instagrams. Yes. But comment on YouTube and iTunes because we want to know what you think, and be sure to tweet us. So what were your guys' overall impressions of tonight's episode?
Well, I was really excited.
Yeah.
I mean, this highly anticipated, seeing anything that has to do with relationships is amazing. I thought the episode was great. Each individual had a unique characteristic about them that was different and interesting. So that was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can sense some of the differences in some of the personalities already. I can't tell if it's, my first sight of them, but I just feel like some of them I'm already starting to sense that they could be a little tensions once they start, totally. But I don't know, you can't tell too soon, but I can kind of see where this could go.
Definitely. So let's talk about the cast. Let's go ahead and start with Tom. So what did you guys think of Tom?
I think we know how Heather feels about Tom.
Okay, so I think Tom's great. I think Tom is I like that he's catching himself at 28 instead of 33 and saying, I'm clubbing too much, I'm drinking too much, and so forth. So he knows he's ready for a relationship, and I think he's attractive, and I like him a lot, yeah.
Okay.
I think that Tom, he seems like a great guy. I'm a little nervous about his feelings about commitment because he commented and was talking about how he has never been able to compromise with how he lives and how someone else coming into his space, he's a little bit closed off. So I'm a little nervous how that's going to interfere with his relationship. But, he seems to be open enough to come on and do the show. So hopefully he's changed and he's going to put that in the past. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But I think he seems, from the jump start, I think he seems like a great guy.
Definitely, I agree with you. I do think he's attractive as well. But, it's such an interesting lifestyle. He lives in a truck near the beach, like an RV near the beach. So that's really cool. But how is a woman going to come into that? Or not a woman, but just bringing a new person into that lifestyle. Yeah. Not everyone's going to be comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, what is the compromise? Because I remember he was like, I don't want a white house and with a white picket fence. Yeah. It's like, okay, so what is the middle ground? Like a cool apartment in a city?
Yeah, that's close to the boats and the yachts and
by
so
the beach,
forth. Right,
yeah. So it's interesting. I wonder what he's going to want out of that.
Yeah, I think he brought up a really good point, though, in the beginning, too, where he said every girl comes in and says, this is fine, this is fine. And then once it's almost a year at some point, then they want that white picket fence and house. And I actually respected that because I agree. At the end of the day, if you love each other, you're either going to go to that RV that he has or someone's going to go to the house. So we'll see.
Yeah. I feel like it would be fun to live in for a while, but I don't know that I'd want that forever. But, it's just a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Okay, let's talk about Lillian.
Lillian, actually, really quick, before just tying it with Tom in the house, I feel like her personality is going to be that, breaks down what he's been, holding back. I think she might be the one to maybe get him into the white picket house.
So I saw her, I don't know why I'm picking this up, but I'm picking up a more passive vibe from her. So
really?
I'm not taking her as somebody who's going to be like, I want this, I want that. She was, what is my husband thinking right now? What is he worried about right now? Everything that she talked about in this initial show was him, not her. So I think she's going to be passive. I partially think that if he says, I want to stay in the RV, she'll be like, whatever it takes to love you.
Yeah, maybe that would work then.
Yeah.
Because maybe the women he's been with before have been like, oh no, we're not living here. So maybe if she's like chill with it, they could actually be a good match.
Maybe. But that's the vibe I got from her. I got more passive. More of a
She was
passive vibe.
sweet. I feel like she definitely has some family values.
Yes.
So
Yes, definitely.
That was great. And I don't know, I liked her, definitely.
Yeah.
So what about Nick?
Nick's a mom.
Oh, Nick is so cute.
He is really cute.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
great.
awesome.
You can tell that his mom definitely has an opinion because he will quiet up really quickly. Like as soon as she says something, which again, that's respectful because to me, that means that he's going to know how to treat a woman.
True.
Because he does respect his mom. So I think he's great. I think that there's a sadness to him that I'm curious to see come out. Hopefully that dynamic, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, will make him a little bit more outgoing. But overall, good guy. I think he's really ready for marriage.
I think he's very thoughtful. You could kind of see that and just little things throughout the show so far. And those thoughtful things, I think, is what that woman is going to want. And so I think he is like so sweet. And I think he's going to be great this season to watch.
Yeah, he's sweet. He's cute. He also manages vacation rentals, which is kind of a cool job. I like that. Maybe you can go on vacation with him. For your honeymoon and stuff.
Or if there's a gap and no one's in the house, there's like, we have an extra 3 days.
stay
And then
in
you
it.
just go.
Great idea.
Spontaneity. You're welcome for your first date idea.
So I think Sonia's sweet and pretty. What do you guys think?
I think she is very this is what she wants. She wants marriage. She's very committed to this and she's in it for her heart because she really was just talking about her feelings and how she feels and why she wants this marriage. And I think she's going into it with all the right intentions. So if obviously Nick is what she wants, I think she's going to do whatever it takes to make it work.
Agreed. Totally open, totally receiving love, ready, at peace and centered about what she's looking for. So that dynamic is going to be a win if they're not both too passive.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Derek, I initially was like, oh yeah, like I think he's kind of quirky, but it's like a cute quirky.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think his quirkiness is like, it's really goofy with all his friends, but I'm wondering how that's going to overlay into his relationship status and how he feels emotionally, because right now I can only see the surface. I haven't been able to see like what he's kind of putting on, not a facade, but you're like, I want to know more. I want to dig deeper. So I guess we'll probably see a little bit more.
So I thought he was transparent, personally.
Really?
Yeah, so I think he got emotional. Like you could see tears in his eyes when it came about talking about the wedding. And when he was told, you have a match, you have a wife, he was like, really? So very excited, very into it. To me, I thought he was a clear path. Again, to me, number one of the guy that wants to be there, even over Nick. Totally.
And last but not least, we have Heather, the flight attendant, pretty blonde.
So Heather, I think she's nervous definitely in this episode. I think she wants this more than any of the girls. If I really think about it, I think she wants it more, but I think she's the most scared. And that 110% came out because I didn't see much of the personality yet, but it's going to be fun to watch her transformation.
Yeah, I think that when she found out that they found her person, her match, I was like, she seemed a little underwhelmed, and I think that's because she was so like thinking so much about the process. As soon as she heard like, we have someone for you, I think she was like thinking about all of it. So she was just in shock almost, like, wow, this is really happening. This is my journey. It's about to begin. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see her journey.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like they probably, of course, they casted so many people, like so many people were involved in the casting process that you probably don't know it's going to be you. And maybe they film you throughout like some of the earlier stages so you don't know. Because I feel like you would know at the point that the cameras come into your door. But maybe they do that with like a few others to freak them out. I don't know.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, because it's like you would think like if you're on camera, like, okay, clearly you have a match, but you never know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Also with Heather, I feel like she really wants this because she knows that her parents didn't know each other very well, and that they still matched and have been together for like, I think over 30 years, she said.
Yes.
So she can see that it works, you know, versus someone who's like dated their boyfriend for 10 years and they get married. So it's a little bit different. So I feel like she's like, okay, this can work.
Yeah, she's very open to this whole process.
Yeah, and I loved hearing that. I'm a big believer in time is an illusion. So her parents were together only 3 months and then they got married. So that's amazing. I actually think the opposite. If you're together for 10 years and you're still not married, what's the gap, right?
Yeah.
So I am rooting for all of them because of that. And I think that her seeing her parents like that too is very, very exciting for her. It's going to give her that energy. She seemed emotionally attached to it, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
So I know that we don't know too much about the couples and their dynamics yet, but what can you guys predict about the relationships, and what do you think, who do you think is going to actually be a strong combination, and who do you think is going to be like, I don't know?
Sonia and Nick are going to be strong.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that they're going to be strong because they're both committed to the relationship and getting married. I think that Tom and Lillian are going to have the biggest obstacles.
You know, it's funny you say Nick and Sonia are going to be good. I think so too, because they're both like sweet and like, I think they're going to mesh. But the thing is Nick's mom is so like controlling that I kind of feel like he needs a controlling woman, because that's what his whole life has probably been. Like, I mean, I'm just assuming, but it seems like she's a bold, like confident woman. So it's like maybe Sonia is going to be so different than what his mom is right now.
That's a good point to bring up. Yeah,
and wonderful point.
Yeah, that is a great point. I definitely.
If there wasn't a controlling woman, then what we talked about earlier would be true. We're gonna have two passive people that can't make decisions or can't initiate. But you never know. I think he's excited. He quiets his mouth because it's his mother. I think he's ready to step up to the plate and be dominant in GSD.
Yeah,
So,
and I think he takes his mom's opinions to heart, but I think he also might, since this process, he is opening himself up to the possibility of whoever it may be. I think he'll take her advice, but also kind of sift through what you know what I mean? Just kind of divulge all the information and try to apply the best of it to his relationship with Sonia.
True, and probably when they get to know each other, they'll be more confident with one another, so they probably won't be like very shy their whole relationship. So I think they'll kind of grow. What do you think about Derek and Heather?
I think that from the surface, I think it might be a little awkward, but I think down the line, they seem like, for me personally, I think that they might have a connection. I think that their personalities are going to kind of complement each other. But I mean, who's to say at this point in the game? We haven't even seen the wedding yet, or they haven't even seen each other. But I feel like just like separating them as individuals, I think that he might bring her some extra confidence that she could have in the relationship.
Yeah, that safety, because she goes, being safe is what I never felt before.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that the safety is going to be there. I think the dynamic between those two, I think there's going to be a lot of sexual energy there. So I really do. I think that they're going to connect sexually on a great level. I'm not sure why. I sometimes can read love energies like that. But I feel it. I think it's going to be a little bit awkward at first, but there's going to be a strong dynamic there. So it'll show up in a few episodes, I think.
One thing that worries me is, I think it was Derek, the one that said, like, I hope she's not mean. I'm not saying Heather's mean, because I really don't know her at all.
Judging.
Not judging, but like, I hope that like she gives off a first like impression that's very strong and warm, just for, I don't know, because I haven't really seen much footage of her, you know? But I hope that they work out, obviously.
Yeah, I think that your biggest fear is going to come true. Her first receiving of his energy, I don't think it's going to be warm and like, oh, hello. I think it's going to be more, I think it's going to be like, oh my God, this is awkward,
And they're nervous.
Yes,
yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, of course it would be awkward.
Yes, but he's warm. He's warm. And I agree. I think he's going to make her feel safe in time, and it'll be a good dynamic for sure.
And what do you guys think about Tom and Lillian?
Tom and Lillian, I mean, I feel like now that, like, because you brought up a great point, and I have two, like, versions in my head of one, how the relationship's gonna happen, then a total opposite. And I think that depending on, like, what my vibes on her end up going towards, I don't know if she's gonna want to conform to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
It depends. Whoever is going to break that barrier of, I'm going to give up my life and live with yours, it's really going to depend for me. So as soon as I get to see that first jump, I think then I'll be able to make a better decision on whether who's going to kind of jump to which lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, like, it would be one thing if Tom was living in, like, a New York City bachelor pad, kind of like, it's like a fun young boy kind of thing. But he's, like, in a, you know, an RV, which is really cool. I mean, I would love to try it. But it's just, it's going to be a different lifestyle for her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's going to be super receptive to it. I feel like, and maybe I didn't get, maybe I missed something, but I still see her as this very open and receptive and is like, whatever I can do to please you type of thing. Obviously, she's not going to want to have their first child in the RV.
Yeah.
But I think she's going to be so.
Hey, you never know. I mean, they could just get a big one.
Just saying, you know, that's the one thing I'm sure, because she's a real estate agent, so she's going to say, hey, I can get us a place.
Yeah.
But I think that she's going to be the most out of any of the women to be receptive and open to accommodating if that's a make or break.
Definitely, and they could always get 2 houses. She's a real estate agent. You know, they could switch off every week. That sounds kind of fun. Or a month, maybe.
Hey, make your own rules in reality today, right?
That's funny. So one thing that I was kind of wondering is, would you guys be open to this experience? Let's say, I'm not sure your dating lives, but just pretend like you're single and, you know, you're at the place where you wanna get married soon, whatever that age may be for you. Would you be interested in this experiment?
So I already tweeted the producers, if you're listening right now, yes, please consider me Heather Yerrid for season 5. That is a yes. We are in a jungle out here today when it comes to relationships. So any opportunity for me to, because I don't do online dating. I've never done Tinder. My name has never been attached to any type of the apps or anything. Personal choice, to each their own. But yes, 110%, I would be totally open to this because I feel that I am ready. I've experienced the fun, I've had the success and so forth, and I'm in that space. So absolutely, hands down. And I like that it's controversial. I like that a lot of people are thinking it's wild and crazy and so forth. I always like to engage in some things like that.
I might be complete opposite. I don't know if I could do it. Like, I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, I feel like it's all about, like, kind of understanding a person. Like, I need to know kind of their ins and outs before I would even consider, like, the first steps of, like, moving in together or just, like, even getting the ring. Like, I just kind of take a lot of steps in order to gain the further, like, getting further into a relationship. I need that, like, kind of tiptoe step, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that's me personally. I couldn't, I give them props because that's amazing that they can jump into it.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, I'd be too picky. Like, I'd be like, no, I'm not really happy. But I feel like if you were at that point where you're like, okay, you know what, love isn't working for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and go for it, then I could see doing it. Mm-hmm. And also another benefit I could see is that sometimes when you're dating someone or you just meet someone, you're like, oh, well, he's not this or he's not that. But here you're like, okay, well, they've matched me, so maybe I should overlook the fact that he's blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
Or something like that.
That's
so
very true.
Absolutely.
I could see pros and cons, but I would be very nervous, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely nervous, but that's a great point. Like, I think you would kind of maybe let things go a little more.
It's psychological. They did a psychological analysis. Anytime when someone does scientific-based research, people are more apt to believe it, whether it's right or wrong. They're going to be like, well, a psychologist, a doctor did this, I'll go for it, and so forth. So I think it would be...
But it is interesting because it's marriage and it's like an official like thing. It's not like, oh, this is going to be your boyfriend. It's like, okay, you're going to be married and hopefully you stay married.
I love that idea because you're safe. There's nothing to lose. Hopefully he's not tweeting or doing. I'm not going to curse on the show but doing anything with pictures of other people. I feel like it's safe in that you guys can actually be yourselves from the gate and start from there because you're both in. That's the problem today. Like it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Who am I still talking to on the back burner? But in this scenario, again, there's no guarantees.
And I feel like there are so many like apps, like you mentioned, Tinder out there. It's like you probably have such high expectations now because you can just swipe people away and like you're meeting people everywhere. So it's like it's like hard to find that perfect one.
Mm-hmm. And I think that everybody, like, because they're in this, like you guys were saying, they're gonna work it out and they're gonna work through their problems because that's from all of their like bios in the beginning, all of them want marriage and they all want it to work. They all want a long-lasting relationship, so they're gonna do whatever it takes to make it work.
So they have to tell their parents and their friends. And I mean, I feel like most were pretty like obviously shocked at first, but then they kind of were like, okay, like I support you. And I think that was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that obviously Nick's mom had the most opinion about it, which I love that. I hope they show more of her on the show. But the parents were more receptive than the other seasons. In the other seasons, I remember pushback and so forth, and supporting against other ones, like especially with Doug and Jamie, if I remember correctly. I know Doug's parents were very much on the fence. You know, Jamie didn't have her parents. That was like a big thing that Doug's were, but they were just so not for it. I believe that was the couple, but I thought the parents, that was a smooth transition. Everyone was like, I trust you, you're good. That's how we know they're all good people, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the parents are like, if you make this decision, we trust you.
I loved Sonia's dad. I think he is so sweet. He was so, I think at first he was a little like, I think he thought it was a joke at first because he was like caught off guard, like, wait. And then he was like, oh, okay, like I am completely in for this. And he was so nice. And just like when he came on her wedding day, I just thought that was such a great moment that they had.
Definitely. And there was also a lot of really sweet moments when they were picking out their wedding dresses.
Yes.
It was just very touching. And I mean, it's also scary because you're picking out a dress and you don't even know who it's for.
But isn't it for you? It's for us, isn't it?
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Yes,
it's for us,
okay,
right?
I love that. It's for the girls.
It's your own
That's
self-says.
true.
It's us. It's for us. You know, as long as we feel good, that means we can confidently walk up the aisle, right?
Yeah, good point.
And this is their first time seeing this man, so they need the dress that they feel is going to perfectly depict them as the person that they are going
Definitely
to be.
a first impression, that's for sure.
Speaking of that, I feel like you were about to say depict and portray who they want to be perceived as, right?
Yeah.
And Heather's best friend, was it? When she was just like, hey, do you want them to see Heather or do you want them to see boobs?
Yeah.
That was wild. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that was a bold statement.
And I think the one that she ended up choosing was good because it was like a little bit sexy, but it was it was more like beautiful than like all out, you know?
Yeah, it looked amazing on her.
She definitely rocked it.
She did.
And then it was great because they got to do their little Bachelorette parties, which are so fun.
Yeah, I was surprised that they did them. Again, maybe I'm just missing. I don't remember them in depth from last season, but they weren't too wild.
Yeah.
They weren't too wild. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more wild. Maybe a scandal in the beginning. Like, what'd you do?
I guess the most scandalous was Derek and like the party bus.
Yeah.
And he was the one that said, I won't do anything that I can't tell my wife, but you then see
You don't
girls
even
in their
know
thongs.
her yet.
Yeah, so I guess that's why he doesn't have to tell her. I don't know.
Yes, good point. Good point.
That's funny.
Bachelor and Bachelorette parties. Boy, oh boy. That's a whole other topic today.
So then we get into wedding day. And I mean, I would be so nervous at this point. I would be nervous on my regular wedding day, but not even knowing the guy. Oh my gosh. Crazy.
I could only imagine. And the cold feet, like when it was Nick that bought the socks for Sonia.
So cute.
I was like, that is such a great way to give someone that you haven't even met yet, knowing kind of your true colors that show. Because it's not even, it's just like a sign of like, just like personal warmth. Like kind of a hug almost. Like thinking that someone would get you socks for having fear of cold feet was just such a great way to show her who he really is.
And they both each got each other alcohol too, right? Like one champagne and then scotch. Although it's not whiskey, it's scotch. Okay.
Yeah, Nick's mom saying that was a little bit weird to me because it's like, okay, just he's probably nervous. Let's just be positive here and not like criticize the other girl. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
But they seemed in sync.
Yeah,
She noted that
definitely.
she loved the cold feet socks. She was like, how cute. Everyone was like, oh, he's sweet.
Yeah.
And then the alcohol. So again, dynamic. That dynamic was a good thing. The pearls.
Yeah. So who was
God.
it? Tom buys pearls for Lillian, which they
poor
flash
thing.
back and say that pearls are a bad omen, which they had already talked about earlier in the episode.
Had you ever heard that?
I hadn't heard it.
I never heard it either.
Me neither. I'm really superstitious. I know emerald is like a good omen. It can mean like fertility and so forth. But pearls, I've never heard that pearls were a bad.
Maybe it's like a specific cultural thing. If
For
you guys
sure.
know this, please let us know.
Yes.
And what are some other bad omens out there?
for wedding dresses, because wasn't it you can't wear them? 'Cause
Nothing
she
on
was
the dress,
like,
nothing in jewelry. Pearls are bad luck because they symbolize tears.
Yeah.
Apparently, in that,
Oh,
so tears, because
okay.
like all gemstones have different type of things.
Yeah.
So pearls, I guess, are tears, which in some places tears are like the ocean. It's great,
Yeah.
but I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's funny, don't you think? I bet every girl's out there right now, if they have pearls on their dress, running and being like, "Oh
returning.
my God, I'm returning my dress."
That's funny.
Like all my jewelry, I
Would you,
can't
if
wear
you
it.
saw that, would you return it? Your dress?
No.
I don't. If I fell in love with the dress, I couldn't return it.
I think it's different because she's never met the guy before. Because had she like already known that they have a very positive, great relationship, then maybe she'd be like, oh, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't it? But now she's like, I have no idea. This is dumb. So is rain good or bad luck on your wedding day?
I heard it's good luck. I heard that rain was good
stressful
luck.
day.
I would have called.
we were all talking about our hair. That would be all. Mine would be a frizz ball. Like
I'm angry about these headsets in my hair. If it was raining on my wedding day, I would be freaking out.
And I just felt so bad because I mean she looked beautiful and she's sitting there having to worry about like an umbrella and she just like that's the last thing you should have to worry about is like having to worry about what you're gonna look like when you see this man for the first time in your life.
Yes, but I'm surprised that they did not bring up the rain being a good or bad omen. So good point on that. Pointing that out.
I mean, I feel like she was looking at it as a very negative thing on top of the omen of the pearls, but I don't know, maybe it could be good. But it wasn't just pouring. I mean, it wasn't just sprinkling, it was pouring.
Yeah, out of the blue. Out of the blue. Unless they did some sort of like cutting of the camera. That came like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And
And everybody was like, oh, he's so cute, he's so handsome, everybody's so happy, and all of a sudden it's like, like thunder, cue the rain.
Oh, how cute was it? He introduced himself to the mom,
Very
right?
cute.
Yeah. Was he the only one that introduced himself to the family?
I feel like we haven't seen all the moments yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I think that's the only one I saw, so I was like very impressed.
Yes.
Go Tom.
Team Tom.
So is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get into some predictions?
Oh gosh, there's always stuff I want to talk about, like Married at First Sight, but I don't know how much time. We only have a short amount of time, so I'll say predictions.
Okay, so for predictions today, how about we decide who we think is going to actually last for the last episode so that we can go back and see like who is right.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
This is difficult.
Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
Oh man. Okay. I wish I could pick two because
You can pick all three if you want.
I can pick all three.
I hope all
It's who's
three
gonna
work.
last. It's who's gonna last.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a really good feeling about Nick and Sonia. I just feel like she is so sweet. And, like, I feel like any, how could you not love her? You know what I mean? I think Nick and Sonia, and then, I feel bad. I want them all
it's okay.
Don't feel bad.
We're not actually, like, hoping they fail. We hope they all go successful.
You're
We're
proving
just,
your psychic abilities right now.
Yeah, you're proving your psychic ability. It doesn't really matter, you know.
Okay, then I'm going to say Nick. I'm just going to say all of them. I really actually have a feeling that if they all are willing to do what they said that they wanted to do from the start of the show, if they follow through with their word, they can all make this successful.
Good point. And we haven't seen them interact at all. So
Yes.
this is just based off of guessing, basically.
Yeah, based off of their initial responses of why they wanted to be on the show and why they were opening themselves up to this opportunity, I think that they all can do it because they all seemed very sincere.
Great. So I'm going to go one with my gut and one without it, just for the fact of always liking to go against the grain sometimes. So I voted on Twitter for Nick and Sonia. So I definitely think they're going to make it. But Heather, now that I think about it, is reminding me of Courtney from the first season with Jason.
Yes.
I think that was the first season, right? And I think Courtney also had that type of like free spirit, rejection, loved her job, and that was a hard transition. But because they both had those abandonment issues, they stuck together. So I'm also going to say that I foresee Heather and Derek staying together because I think they're going to work through that just like Jason and Courtney did. And so I'm going for, again, Nick and Sonia, and Heather and Derek are going to stay together. And I believe that Tom is going to have an issue letting someone else into his space, and that's going to cause unless, she goes into it 100%, I think they're going to split by the end of the season.
I think I'm going to agree because I feel like the Tom Lillian situation is just going to be the most unique lifestyle changes for them both. And so that just kind of would be a possible problem for them to face versus the other two, you know, they both want love and marriage, so I can't really see any potential problems as of right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hope Tom and Lillian can work it out, and you know, maybe they can get 2 houses and it'll all be perfect.
You know what's so funny is like we're already assuming that Tom and Lillian are going to not work out, so we're like, yes, no, when they don't work out too.
I feel like they're
guys, sorry.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna maybe watch our show and say, I don't want them to think we're rooting against them.
No.
But maybe they'll root harder and work harder after.
Yes.
Oh wait, but it was already taped.
Oh,
so.
you're right. They're probably like married right now, just like laughing at us.
Yes.
Let's hope.
Did we
Yes.
see it, or did they respond to us? Like, you're
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for watching our after show. Be sure to tweet us because we love to hear what you guys think. It could be in like 3 days. It can be in a week. We want to hear about it. So tweet us, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @JamieBanks_. And where can they find you guys?
You can find me on Instagram at Nasta, ALLYNASTA, and then on Twitter at AllieGirl__.
I'm Heather Yerrid. You can find me on Twitter at Heather Yerrid and Instagram at Heather Yerrid.
We'll see you guys next week.
Alrighty.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.